Hey, what's going on, guys? Gamerdude back once again with another episode in our Just the Facts series. Today we are discussing something rather exciting which seems to have wormed its way back from the dead. Yes, it's the legendary Telltale games. After closing late last year due to legal and financial issues, this iconic chain of franchises may be making the comeback of the century. But is it really a comeback? Will it all really be the same? Nobody can say for sure until we hear a little bit more about this, which I'll get into detail on this video in a little bit. But I say this because nobody can really recreate the masterpieces that Telltale actually worked on. So in this week's episode, we will be discussing the return of Telltale Games and how its new owners may affect the games we came to know and love over the years. So anyway, with that, let's get on with the show. Now then, if you're a fan of Telltale Games, you will definitely know all about the company's past, with games from the likes of the Monkey Island series, Minecraft, and obviously the iconic Walking Dead games. Telltale Games definitely popped out some serious bangers in the last 2 decades, which immortalised them as a company we all still know and love to this day. Until sadly 2018 last year, when we heard about its foreclosure and series of its games just coming to an abrupt end. As fans, this was a huge upset, and since it closed, YouTubers, gamers, and fans all over the world have been calling for Telltale to make a return. Or at least someone snatch up the game's rights and IPs to continue games that ended on such a cliffhanger, that we all expected a sequel. Well, the wait may be over and you may not have to worry anymore, guys. Because it does seem like our prayers have been answered and Telltale will be making a triumphant return from cybernetic oblivion. However, as I will now explain, it will not and never will be the same company we all came to know and love. So, as I said, Telltale Games was shut down last year, and with the studio's closure, numerous projects were supposedly cast into the void. One unfortunate note from this closure came when the studio was in mid-production of The Walking Dead, the final season. Having thought it to be lost forever, Robert Kirkman stepped in and The Walking Dead's final season was spared from limbo when it was revived under Skybound Games. Now, when this happened, videos scattered all over the internet, rumours on Reddit, rumours on Wikipedia and whatnot, saying that Skybound would then take on all of the Telltale Games IPs that were supposed to get sequels but never did. And then Robert Kirkman and Skybound Games debunked that theory entirely and said they aren't interested, they only want to work on The Walking Dead. But as for projects like The Wolf Among Us 2, Batman 3, Walking Dead spin-off games, even Stranger Things and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and many more, these were all confirmed to be in development before Telltale was shuttered, and it meant the future of these games just went up in smoke. Now, I do say was because Telltale Games is reportedly on the cusp of the most iconic and biggest comeback in gaming history. The biggest and most ultimate remaster or revival in gaming history. According to Polygon, the studio's assets have recently been acquired by LCG Entertainment, and they plan on continuing the developer's work for all past titles. This new studio will be headed by 2 fresh faces to the gaming industry, Jamie Ottill and Brian Waddle, not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Anyway, but both of whom do have some experience in the video game atmosphere. In a recent, supposedly confidential, yet not so confidential because it's everywhere, interview with Polygon, Ottill says that the company now owns exclusive rights to former licensed Telltale properties, with games ranging from the likes of The Wolf Among Us and Batman, which is fantastic. I would love to see a 3rd Batman game. There are even talks of them wanting to make a second Tales from the Borderlands game, but that is not yet confirmed. But yeah, this is certainly huge news, and it is definitely exciting as it means they could potentially be brought back from the abyss. But Otil did continue to say, "We are still evaluating, but we definitely want to continue some of the stories," which is absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to see sequels to games that had unfinished storylines and climaxes that we assumed would never be finished. Because we came to love these game franchises, like Game of Thrones, for example. That was one of my more popular games in the Telltale game series, and you all loved it. You know, and you were all like, "Oh, but it's going to end on a climax. I bet it's going to end on a climax," and it did. And it's like, "Oh, come on, why?" But sadly, it looks like for games like Game of Thrones and Stranger Things, the rights were given back to the studios in question. So Stranger Things, the rights were given back to Netflix, and Game of Thrones, the rights were obviously given back to HBO. And now Game of Thrones has finished as a TV series. It would all depend on whether or not the actors would want to return for the game, or if HBO would actually allow them to do it. The same thing applies for Stranger Things. It would all depend on whether or not Netflix want to do that, if they want to push that forward, if they're okay with it, and if some of the actors would want to come into the game. It all depends. Anyway, as I was saying about the cancelled Stranger Things adaptation, Otil says that the rights, of course, as I said as well, will return to Netflix. So unfortunately, I really wouldn't expect that one to suddenly spring back to life. Unless, of course, as I said, it's something Netflix wants to do sometime in the future. I mean, given how popular Stranger Things actually is, it would be a huge waste of an opportunity if Netflix didn't allow it. I mean, Stranger Things is one of the more popular Netflix-based series, next to that of the newest Star Trek Discovery, and etc., and things like that. So, for Netflix to actually go, "Okay, yeah, we'll give it a shot, we'll give it a go. You know, you're trying to revive a game series that everybody loves, so yeah, we'll let you do it, we'll let you have it." But yeah, it all depends on Netflix corporate CEOs and whatnot. So don't take it with a grain of salt, really, because we don't know. I'm just theorizing and speculating there. Anyway, for fans of Telltale's titles, this should be pretty exciting news. Otil reckons that Telltale had a, quotation, "viable business, but it was brought down by market conditions and some scale choices made by the studio's management." Indeed, though, it is believed that Telltale essentially worked itself into the ground, due to them taking on way too many projects at once and oversaturating its own market. So they really put themselves in the toilet by trying to get so many titles out at once and paying all these actors and paying all these production teams, and they really just didn't have the money and power to do it. But Otil states again what all gamers are actually thinking. He states, "I like games that tell stories, and I think our industry should have a company that specializes in narrative-driven games." And honestly, I couldn't agree more. I love games with narrative designs, especially the Telltale games. You can't play a game today without comparing it at least once to a Telltale title. If you play a big AAA open world game and there's choices in it, like your choice defines what happens in the next level or in the next scene, then you're going to compare it to a Telltale game. It's going to feel like a Telltale game because that's what Telltale games did from starting way back in the Monkey Island series back in the 1990s. Even now, though, with the next generation of consoles looming on the horizon, when you see a game with a strong narrative, as I said, it is always compared with a Telltale game. So it's no surprise that players and industry colleagues alike mourned the studio's closure late last year. LCG co-head Mr. Otil did say that he would try his best to keep it original, but he couldn't promise anything due to, not having the original staff on team. But he did say again in another brief and vague statement, "We believe there is still so much life to the brand and its franchises, and we look forward to building upon the company's storytelling legacy," which again is fantastic. They are going to try their best to keep it original, but as he did say, without the original staff from Telltale, it will be difficult to keep it to the original story. They may even have to scrap certain stories and start all over again. He goes on to say there is still a huge fan base of Telltale players, and that's one of the main reasons we decided to make this investment. It's hard to see your favourite games disappear or not get the sequels they deserve. Infamous Second Son. Mafia 3. Yeah, that's just some examples there. So he continues to say, we thank everyone for their patience and support. We've got some exciting new things to share later this year, and we'll try not to keep them waiting too long, but we think fans will be pleasantly surprised. So again, that tells me that because E3's gone now, Gamescom's been and gone, so it would stand to reason that they're probably going to announce something at the December gaming conference later this year. So that'd be really cool. I'd love to see them announce something at that December games conference. But anyway, here's the bone crusher, the sad truth of Telltale's so-called revival. And yes, I'm doing quotation marks there. While the studio's name and IP may be revived, the Telltale that we know and love has been dead and gone for several months now. And it will never be fully what it once was. It's just the sad truth. More importantly, the people that built it have long since moved on. They've gone on to different and better positions and moved on with their lives. The only thing that's really left from the original Telltale is the still ongoing class action lawsuit filed against the company on behalf of all the employees who were just abruptly laid off without any severance. Which is actually worth pointing out, won't affect the new studio under LCG. So obviously the lawsuit isn't going to carry over with the IPs that they have purchased. But let's hope that these former employees get some closure and possibly get rehired by the new IP owners, because as I mentioned earlier, Otil did say that without the original Telltale team, it's going to be difficult to keep the stories to their original cause, to their original goals. So it would probably stand to reason that they might want to hire some of them back just to get an idea of what was going to happen in this game. Then again, saying that, Otil had confirmed to Polygon that one or two former Telltale employees will be offered freelance work at the new company, and that full-time positions may become available to them in the future, depending on the success of the returning games. But as it stands right now, apart from some unofficial input, as Polygon has put it, from former Telltale managers who, as we all well know, were unable to save the company from its downfall. Few or none of the original Telltale staff are working under the new IP, which does actually worry me. I know I said earlier that there was one or two that were actually working for the company, but without the original team, without the full original team, they are really going to have to pull it out of their asses for this. You know, they're really going to have to start again and rebuild these games from the ground up and tell their own story from them. So instead of the sequels, I'm thinking reboots would work better. You know, The Walking Dead is completely safe, obviously, because The Walking Dead is now in the hands of Skybound and Robert Kirkman, so we don't have to worry about that. I'm talking about games like Batman, Wolf Among Us, Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe, as I said, instead of the sequels, we should actually get reboots. I mean, it's not out there. There's probably more money to be made in a reboot than a sequel, because people will be like, ooh, something new, you know? But, so moving on to what I was talking about at the start of the video, is it the same? Is it going to be the same Telltale games? Well, rather than a resurrection, let's say, this is more like drafting a dead company's IP. LCG will definitely be putting the corpse of Telltale to work, not by giving it new life, but by reviving it as something completely new and something of their own. Though the studio's name may be back, the studio itself is not. Acquisitions like this happen all the time, and sometimes they even lead to good games, you know. Just look at THQ Nordic and Darksiders 3. Although, that said, die-hard Telltale fans should temper their expectations just a little bit. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Are you happy that Telltale is returning? Do you think it will fail all over again? Will it be the same? What will be different? And will we finally see sequels to the stories we thought were long since lost in cybernetic oblivion? Anyway though, that is it for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope I expanded your gaming knowledge and have given you an inside look into this miraculous resurrection, let's call it. So stay tuned tomorrow, because we will be continuing another game series in place of our Telltale game series until we are able to replace The Walking Dead Season 3. I was outbid for it. If you didn't catch my video yesterday, I explained it yesterday. I was outbid for it. I was bidding for it on eBay, and I was outbid by 2 fucking pence. 2 pence. So that's why I was saying I'll let you know Friday, but I was outbid for it, so unfortunately it's going to be a little bit longer before I can replace it. But shout out to all subscribers, old and new. We are now at 956, getting ever so close to that 1k milestone, which is an absolutely amazing achievement, and I can't thank you all enough for the continuous support and views of my content. If you're new to the channel and enjoyed this video or any of my other content, make sure you smash that like button and drop me a subscribe. I always sub back to new subscribers and view any content you may be producing. So that being said, this has been Just the Facts with Gamerdude. Happy gaming, and I'll catch you all in the next one, guys.